Hi, I'm Webb Sun, co-founder and president of Komodo Health. I'm here at the health conference in Las Vegas, and you are watching Taking Stock.
Don't call to come back here on this Friday, November 7th, after at one point today in the session, the S&P 500, despite earlier in the day being down 1.3%, the tail of the tape with just a minute and a half left, we are expecting somehow and possibly these markets to now finish in positive territory. To be fair, that makes producing a live TV show like this a little bit more difficult, but welcomed news certainly in the hearts and minds of investors across the major market indexes. This despite the fact that there have been renewed questions, a bit of a new narrative shaking Wall Street here the last few days. Renewed concerns over the state of valuations, the state of the U.S. consumer, and the durability of the ongoing AI trade. Investors, at least here on the day, a sharp reversal in the session from the 12 o'clock hour. We will see what the tail of the tape is into the close. All of that and so much more sets the stage for the show. And speaking of the show, welcome to it. You're watching Taking Stock. I'm your host today, JD Durkin. Moments away from the ringing of the one, the only, the truly iconic closing bell. We do it every day down here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Might as well keep the party going here on this Friday. The S&P 500 now somehow expecting to finish in positive territory, up 0.1% with comparable reversals for the small caps, the NYSE Composite Index, as well as the Dow 30. The team from WLDA Tech is here to do the honors. We will also talk with them a little bit later on in the broadcast. For now, my friends, I'm going to stop talking. We'll let the team from WLDA here now ring the bell to do the honors. Three gavel strikes, rather, on the iconic block here at the New York Stock Exchange. The crowd is absolutely fired up, and they are ready to go. You're the real MVPs. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for bringing a bit of good luck. We put the markets in positive territory on this Friday, November 7th. The S&P will finish up 0.1%. The Dow up comparably. The NYSE Composite Index, a strong session here, all things considered, up 0.5%. With the small caps, we love to see the Russell 2000 getting in on the action. The Russell will now finish up about 0.6% on this Friday. A wild one indeed. Who better to chat with? Let's bring in our good pal, Katy Perry of StockTwits, here to get her perspective on the general markets, the AI trade, the government shutdown. They're just like drinking from a fire hose.
I know. How are you?
I'm doing great. Much better now that you're here. Give me your sense on these markets and some of the top-line macro stories that you've been focused on after a really wild 5 days this week on the street.
Where do you even start topics-wise? We saw the reversal right here, TGIF. I want to start with the Elon pay package, though, first. $1 trillion over 10 years. There's 12 tranches. Did the math. If he was Shohei Ohtani at his annual salary, 14,000 years, that's $1 trillion.
Wow.
So that is a big pay package. 75% voting shares voted for the package. So that's Zoran and Park Slope kind of numbers if you compare it to the recent mayoral election. So just wild to see. Of course, ISS and Glass Lewis were on the other side of that, but we continue to see highs in terms of company valuation and executive comp.
Yeah, and these are really aggressive price targets.
Yeah.
They're more or less tied to the general market cap of Tesla, which coming into this week is about 1.4, 1.5 trillion. Every $500 million that goes up, Elon would get additional shares in the company. So it's ambitious, but I think it does speak to the general confidence that Tesla investors have in him, and they're saying, we want our guy for the long run. Is that a fair read?
It is, it is. I think the risk that ISS and Glass Lewis were saying is it relies too much on one person, but that is the essence of Tesla right there.
Yeah, absolutely. How about this ongoing AI rally? You and I have talked many times now. The AI bubble, the valuation concerns. We saw some pullback from the so-called AI trade here on Wall Street the last few days. Coming back with a little bit of a vengeance into the close, but where do you stand on the general AI rally?
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked last time, bubble, is it not? Michael Burry shorting Palantir, NVIDIA. I know Palantir loves the short sellers. I think overall, though, it depends on where you're looking at it. There's the AI trade that's been a little volatile, and then there's the long-term mega trend. I think Jeff Bezos said this week that it could be a bubble, but it's also very real. It depends on kind of the time horizon you're looking at.
Yeah, of course. As if all of that weren't concern, again, to our point about drinking from a fire hose if you work in financial news, today is day 38 of the ongoing federal government shutdown.
Yeah.
It is the longest shutdown we have had in history. Senate Democrats may be willing to come to the table if they get a guarantee on a vote for the future of Affordable Care Act subsidies.
Yeah.
We don't know how this is going to play itself out. What do you think investors are paying attention to as the shutdown rolls on?
I mean, it's just historic levels of dysfunction. Congressional approval rating is at 14%. I think if we all rallied, we could get it lower and maybe get it to an all-time low. We could work together. They're playing the blame game. They're playing a game of chicken. I think investors right now are looking for a little relief. I think a lot of people, though, talking about those airline cutbacks. 10% cutbacks, some airlines, airports like JFK, that's 60 flights, thousands and thousands of people a day. I think when that starts hitting business travel, you're going to start feeling it a little more.
Yeah, best of luck to anyone who has air travel plans this weekend. Almost out of time. Real quick, tariffs, trade policy, uncertainty, still top of mind for many. What are you following there?
It's going to the Supreme Court. They're going to decide if those are legal or not. Some of the conservative judges are in an awkward place. John Roberts, for example, always kind of backs free market, and so he's in a little bit of a tough spot. Analysts are still saying, though, that he'll find a way to push these through by other means. It's probably going to be same as we've been, same since April. Yeah,
$90 billion in tariff revenue already collected by the federal government. What happens if it gets struck down? No one really knows. Unprecedented. Maybe you've heard that word used once or twice this year. We'll keep using it for a bit longer. My good friend, Katy Perry of StockTwits, thanks for being here to kick off the broadcast as always. Jeremy will take your mic. Todd, you and I are going to head for a walk this way. And this is the point of the show. Every week we like to bring you the latest on an event contract. I got to say hello to Fernando, the great Fernando of the New York Stock Exchange. My man, have yourself a great weekend, dude. We're going to talk about a closely watched event contract that's actually really kind of a fun one. Market participants on Polymarket are trying to figure out who will be the Time Magazine Person of the Year. Time usually releases that information the second week of December. Here are the latest odds. Artificial intelligence in the lead at 38%. Pope Leo XIV of Villanova University coming in at 16%. Go Cats. Had to work in that one. Donald Trump, 13% odds of repeating as Time Magazine Person of the Year. Zohran Mamdani at 9%. Benjamin Netanyahu, at 7%. Elon Musk at 3%. $3.5 million worth of trade volume on that particular event contract. Todd, we'll take a look at two NYSE notables here before we toss to a quick break. Molson Coors, perfect for Friday at happy hour. This is one of the best performing stocks in the S&P 500 today. Board Chairman David Coors making news this week by buying more than 2,000 shares, usually seen as a very bullish signal of confidence. Despite a miss on both the top and bottom earlier this week, this stock is up 6% so far the last few days. Todd, finally, we'll take a look here at the largest NYSE listed company by market cap. That's, of course, Taiwan Semi, down about 1%, struggling as of late. The world's #1 maker of computer chips did fall underneath its 50-day moving average during the session today, but moved along right back, not quite into positive territory, but a strong reversal along with the broader market. The stock reached all-time highs 3 weeks ago. Its average one-year price target sits at 352, upside potential of another 26%. The New York Stock Exchange's very own Ashley Mastronardi sat down recently with Jack O'Mara of Erska to discuss all of the ways that his team is revolutionizing care for neurological diseases. Take a look.
In Gaelic, Erska means in the shelter of one another people survive. It's a powerful name and a powerful mission for a new biotech aiming to change the way we treat neurological diseases. Joining me now is Erska's CEO and co-founder, Jack O'Mara. Jack, welcome to the New York Stock Exchange.
Ashley, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So I understand that you came up with the idea for Erska in an Irish bar. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what Erska is aiming to solve?
Yeah, I guess like all good ideas, they start in an Irish pub. I think someone once said that. But basically, myself and an old friend were catching up in a pub one day, talking about our interest in advanced medicines and brain diseases, and decided together, you know what, why don't we try and solve Alzheimer's? What could be easier than that? And then slowly roped in others through also pub meetings from Boston to Oxford to Cambridge to try and get a rock star founding team together with RNA and neuroscience leaders to go after this big, meaty problem of neurological conditions. But in essence, we're taking recent advances in brain shuttle technology, which allows us to deliver medicines to the brain in a way never before previously quite possible. And we're combining these advances with RNA medicine, which is a proven modality and highly selective, and particularly RNAi medicines are very effective at turning off overactive genes. So a lot of brain diseases are driven by an overactive protein that aggregates and causes a toxic buildup and starts to damage neurons or other cells in the brain. And we're basically using an RNAi medicine to turn off those overacting genes, and in doing so, hopefully really helping patients around the world that suffer from diseases of the brain.
Can you break down this brain shuttle technology? What impact does it have on the brain? And is this preventative, is my question.
Great question. So maybe just to start, for a long time, getting things into the brain is a real struggle. Brain has this thing called a blood-brain barrier, which is really like almost a bouncer that tries to keep things out. The brain's a hungry organ, so it does let in a lot of nutrients to feed itself and sustain itself, but it tries to keep out things that it doesn't want or things that could be potentially dangerous for the brain. So what we've developed, or what people are developing around the industry, are these brain shuttle technologies. And basically what they do is they try to mimic almost a natural nutrient that the brain wants to absorb to feed itself, and it uses a receptor on the end of this blood-brain barrier that you can use an antibody or a peptide or some construct to basically attach yourself to this mechanism the brain uses to feed itself and pull across your drug alongside that delivery system. And what we're focused on is RNAi medicines, which are very effective for turning off overactive genes. And from a preventative perspective, what's really exciting is that because a lot of work has gone into the genetics and the biology and really much better understanding of brain diseases than we've ever had previously, a lot of it points to early intervention being really powerful to try and treat these chronic diseases and being able to systemically administer. So rather than needing an injection in your spine or an injection in your skull, which is typically how we delivered advanced medicines to date, being able to deliver like a subcutaneous or an intravenous delivered medicine, that opens up this opportunity for earlier intervention and maybe one day even a preventative medicine for these chronic neurological diseases. So that's big vision behind the company, is can we get there earlier and ultimately result in better outcomes for patients.
And Jack, where are you in the development process? Where is this right now?
Yeah, so we're advancing a partnering and an internal build model where we're partnering with folks who've been working on brain shuttles for a long time, and we're concurrently building out our own portfolio of RNAi medicines that are going after specific targets where we believe there could be a really high therapeutic index or potent intervention for medicine. So we're building those components and starting to put them together now and test them in larger animals to see if we can really take forward a medicine that could be transformative for brain diseases.
Well, thank you for sharing your mission with us, Jack
Thank you.
O'Meara, CEO and co-founder of Erska. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
at the
you
New
for
York
having
Stock
me.
Exchange.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome back to the broadcast, one and all. You're watching Taking Stock live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Time now at this hour for the latest headlines you need to know in the worlds of fintech, crypto, and artificial intelligence. First up, the crypto majors Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana all up multiple percent on the day in what is a modest recovery from recent sell-offs. The big winner on the day, Solana, up 4.4%. Next up, Sam Altman slamming rumors that OpenAI wants a government safety net after comments from his own CFO raised some questions among investors, insisting taxpayers should not bail out tech giants. And finally on this Friday, Elon Musk says Tesla may need to build a gigantic chip fab in order to meet the company's AI goals, floating a partnership with Intel as the company develops its next-gen A15 chips. The New York Stock Exchange's Kristen Scholler sat down with Rohit Dixit of Proofpoint to discuss all of the ways artificial intelligence is changing the game for cybersecurity and beyond. Take a look.
We're here at Proofpoint Protect in Nashville, Tennessee, talking about how cybersecurity is getting supercharged by artificial intelligence. Well, joining me now with more is Rohit Dixit. He's the Chief Customer Officer at Proofpoint. Rohit, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Kristen. Nice to see you too.
Yes, and thanks so much for sitting down with me here. I'm curious, in your regular conversations that you're having with CISOs and security leaders, what do they identify as the biggest security challenges right now?
Yeah, Kristen, I tell you, it's a tough time to be a CISO. Not that there is an easy time to be a CISO, but especially so now. Because, if you think about just the amount of threats that a CISO has to handle, they're about like quadruple over just the last year. Not just the volume, but also the complexity and the sophistication of attacks has gone up significantly. And, the CISO now has to cover a much broader scope, because earlier 80% of your work was protecting email coming in that could be phishing. But now you think about, Teams, you think about Zoom, you think about WhatsApp, QR codes, all of these are vectors for threats coming in, and the CISO and the analyst team has to cover all of them. So that's like a huge concern for them, just that increased surface area of attack. The second big area, of course, is, as you said right at the beginning, AI. Look, there's an AI arms race on, and the bad guys are trying to use AI as a way to exfil and for a way to infiltrate, and we are trying to, of course, use AI as a way to block. And when I talk to CISOs, that's like a primary area of concern for them. And how can they have a security posture across all the various channels that protects them from all the threats, and not just increase the efficacy of that protection, but the availability of it, the explainability, the attribution, the investigation. So look, I mean, I think the CISOs have a lot on their plates right now, and we're glad, to be able to help in any way we can.
I want to talk more about that. How is Proofpoint helping meet these challenges?
Yeah, so first thing is that our mindset is very much to put ourselves in the place of a CISO and an analyst, right? And then what we want to do with them is to make sure that the security posture that I talked about, one, is as efficacious as possible. And at Proofpoint, we're at like 5 nines of efficacy, which is, I think, better than anybody else can ever claim to be. Second is our deliverability is very good, so we don't slow any emails down as we're protecting you. But at the same time, our scope of the area that we cover has expanded significantly. So not only do we have what we call collaboration protection, we also have the information protection or the data protection side of the house. And what we're trying to do is to get these two things to work better together, so that we're looking at threats from multiple angles, sharing data across the two. And then when you buy Proofpoint, we make sure that we offer things to you in a bundle of things that are better together and add to your protection posture.
Finally, what about Proofpoint makes it different? So it's not just a security vendor, but really a strategic advisor that customers can think about for the executive level.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the first thing that every customer sort of asks us when we are talking at the exec level is, am I using the product the best I possibly can? Who's out there with practices that I should be adopting? And what we do is we create these things called policy packs, which are the best of the best implementations we've seen, and we make sure other customers have it as well. We do a lot of threat intelligence. So we're watching and scanning the threat actors all the time. And anytime a new campaign gets launched, anytime we see a new threat, we make sure we build those into the policy packs so that almost instantaneously, as soon as we see a threat, the time after we see that threat that a customer is protected, we try to shorten that time as much as we can.
All right, Rohit, thanks so much for sitting down with me here at Proofpoint Protect.
My pleasure, Kristen. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the broadcast. You are watching Taking Stock, still live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange on this incredible day for the markets that saw a very sharp reversal from negative territory, finishing the tail of the tape in positive territory. Thank you one and all for taking the time to watch the show, and I'm very excited for this next portion because I love every guest we talk to, but especially when the guest just rang the closing bell. Asha Saxena joins us now. She is CEO and founder at World Leaders in Data and AI. Excuse me. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to do the closing bell and to be here and talking to you.
Of course, and I know it's not your first time doing the bell here at the New York Stock Exchange, but what was the like for you and your team? We saw them off the top of the show. They were really excited to be here today.
So exciting, right? To be here. I feel like New York Stock Exchange truly inspires entrepreneurs, leaders, CEOs, organizations to do well. And that's what we were here for, celebrating our success. And not only it's the management team, but it's the entire team. And that's what you saw today.
Give me a bit more of an introduction to World Leaders of Data and AI for any of our viewers who are certainly familiar with AI technology, but want to learn more about what your company's priorities are.
Absolutely. World Leaders in Data and AI is a mission-driven organization. We bring senior leaders together for the mission to build a fair digital world. So we champion the responsible AI. We are a leadership organization, thought leadership organization, where we make sure that the best practices to make sure that we are creating the impact. We bring the leaders together to educate them, to make sure that all the technology that's getting built is impacting the world in a positive way. AI can have so much impact, good and bad. I think as humans, it's our responsibility, as leaders, it's our responsibility to build responsible organizations.
I know last year you did an incredible TED Talk. I was lucky enough to watch it earlier today, called How Better People Lead to Better AI. What are the role of humans as the technology underneath us continues to evolve, and how do you view the relationship between humans and AI?
You know, the theme of the TEDx I did was how to be a better human upgrade. I talk about that as humans now, we have to invest in ourselves to make sure that we upgrade our values, install these values in our systems, and continue to make a positive impact. And now it's not just about technology, it's about how humans are interacting with this technology to give the exponential enhancement of all the work we do. Productivity, efficiency, and changing business models.
'Tis the season, of course, to ask about guidance or expectations for 2026. What does the new year look like for you and the team?
We are super excited about all the new technology that is coming in. We are moving from generative AI to agentic AI. So we are now going to be building more agents that will help us do the manual work. We continue, as humans, have to make sure that we monitor what these agents do. We still are in control, but how we use it to make sure that we are more efficient is really critical. So super excited for 2026. I think a lot of organizations are going to implement AI more and more. We do want to make sure that we see the productivity, which could be a challenge, but if we as humans implement it properly, that's where the positive will come in.
Asha, thanks a lot for being here and for bringing an amazingly excited group down here for the closing bell. It's been great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Folks, don't go anywhere. Much more Taking Stock coming up after this.
Welcome to FinTech TV. I'm Remy Blair. We're here at Money 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am joined by none other than Elizabeth Gore, who's the co-founder of Hello Alice. So great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, howdy. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, now that this conference is underway, it means that we only have 2 more months left until year end. So I know it's so hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not ready, but at the same time, it's a good time to look in the rearview mirror and take a look at funding, especially of small businesses across the country. So what are your takeaways so far this year?
You know, I have optimism with a little tail of worry. Small businesses are going like crazy. We have 5 times the amount launching right now than the history of our country. But capital is still very expensive and tariffs are very expensive. So from a growth perspective, even though they're launching, they're really not getting enough capital to grow. So that's why I'm here to talk to all these banks and fintechs. Let's really push the throttle for small businesses.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, this is an area that you pay close attention to. So what do you think really needs to happen here moving forward when it comes to funding?
Well, you know, I got really excited. We show up at Money 2020 and I see open banking stickers everywhere. And I'm a huge fan of open banking for small business because, you know, some of the most successful small business owners come in and maybe their FICO scores aren't great.
Yeah.
Small business, your first 24 months, you're really learning on your personal credit. And if we can really look at the P&L of a business owner and see, oh my gosh, they have great contracts coming in, they pay their bills on time, I think they could get better, high quality loans to grow their business. So I'm really excited about open banking.
And I did want to ask you, how does Hello Alice actually help navigate what goes on, not only on a day-to-day basis, but also throughout the journey of a small business as they grow?
Well, our number one goal is access to capital, but right behind it is the financial fitness of a small business. So we have the business health score, and the score ranks a small business's financial health 0 to 100 consistently. They can take that score as many times as they want. It's a pre-underwriting tool. And then we guide them every 90 days on how to improve their cash flow, their cyber, their growth projections, their taxes. And that's really important. And now with AI, that's getting faster and better.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up artificial intelligence because it does play a key role in the future of finance. But what do you think needs to happen when it comes to the regulatory landscape, and how can small businesses keep smart when it comes to artificial intelligence?
And we were just in DC and, you know, they were shut down, but we were open. And small businesses are actually slower in adopting AI, which concerns us. So you have enterprise and consumer, but small business, there's like an 8.8% to 10% adoption right now on utilizing AI specifically for their finances. So we're talking to the banks, the big fintechs and so on, that we really need to ensure AI tools in their existing software. But I'm also here to shop around and see what software is out there specifically for small business to manage everything in their accounts with AI. I think it's an exciting time. Small business owners are so time poor that AI can give them that time back, that efficiency, those data insights. I'm so excited about it.
Well, thank you so much for making time for us, Elizabeth. I appreciate you joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule because of all your insights. Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Next week here on Wall Street, we'll hear earnings from CoreWeave on Monday. Tuesday, of course, is Veterans Day. We'll also hear from Oklo and Beyond Meat. Wednesday, Cisco and Circle for only its second quarterly report since going public here at the NYSE on June 2nd. Thursday, we'll hear from Disney and JD.com, which is not, unfortunately, my personal website. On Friday, we'll hear from Eric Trump and the team at American Bitcoin. No shortage of Fed speakers on tap all 5 days next week as well. 9 a.m. Monday morning, NYSE TV Live and FinTech TV Live count you down to the open. That's going to do it for Taking Stock. We will see you Monday.